Shabbat Shalom.
Yai lai lai, yai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, da da, yai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai, la lai, ay 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 ay, yai lai lai, la lai, yai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai. Ay, 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 la, 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 ay, la, la, ay, la, ay, la, 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 ay, la, ay, la, da, 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 ay, da, 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 ay, la, 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 ay, 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 la, 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 ay, la. Page 142. We'll welcome in Shabbat with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem, Boachem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni, Barchuni leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeitzchem, Tzeitzchem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So this morning we had a funeral here in the sanctuary and then down at our cemetery, which is of course, like most of Vancouver, covered in not snow but slush, and it's cold out. And so as we were going to be inside but then outside, I wore my lined pants and my long underwear and warm jacket, and there is a heater right above this spot. And so we had not only a sanctuary service, but a schwitz at the same time. So it's nice to be a little more comfortable. I hope that you are comfortable here as well. Not just with the weather in the sanctuary, but hopefully also the warmth that it is to be together on Shabbat, to celebrate a simcha, as we celebrate Abby's bat mitzvah tomorrow. And sorry, Ellie. You could have one too. So, we celebrate Ellie's bat mitzvah tomorrow, and we celebrate Shabbat together. So let's consider the blessings in our life. Let's count them for good. As we light the Shabbos candles, let's recognize, as I'll talk about later tonight, the light of Shabbat is symbolic of so many things, the light of creation, of course, but also the light of being able to see that which is usually obscured from us. Not what's obscured because the lights are out, but because we don't focus, because we're distracted and we don't see what is going on. Whether it's the blessings in our family or the challenges in our world that we turn a blind eye to, or a deaf ear. And so let's the Shabbos candles, as we light them and bless them now, help us to see the light of inspiration and the light of responsibility. So I want to ask Ellie and Abby and Lila and Lisa and Judy and Miriam to come on up. They're going to do a reading here first and then light the Shabbos candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Come on over and grab the candles. I'll take the little one and light the others. We even pre-lit the candles so this wouldn't happen.
Didn't work.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you. So we begin our Friday night Kabbalat Shabbat service with a series of Psalms, specifically Psalms 95 on, which you will see in your siddur, have a lot of imagery that imagines not just us praising or praying with our voices, but the whole world, every piece of creation exalting with all of its beings. And if you look on page 132 in the English at the top, there's an indented part on 132. It says, "Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder, the fields and everything in them exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai, for God is coming." And it's that idea of bringing together our voices with nature and everyone together, praying or connecting with a higher power that is perfect for this time of year, because next week we actually celebrate Tu B'Shvat, the birthday of the trees. And this is kind of the season where we think about connecting with nature and all the plants and natural life around us. So with that intention, we'll start with Psalm 95, Lechu Neranena, page 130. And a quick reminder, a lot of this is going to be Yalalai, so if you don't know the melody or you don't know the Hebrew, that's okay. You can always sing Yalalai. Lechu neranena l'Adonai nariah letzor isheinu nekadma fanav betodah bizmirot
La 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 la
131. Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Ladonai. Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai. Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai. Baruchu Shemo. Basro miyom leyom Yeshuato. Sapru v'goyim kevodo. Bechol ha'amim nifleotav ki gadol Adonai u'mulam me'od nora'u al kol Elohim ay ray ray yalay lalay la yalay lalay la yalay lalay la yalalay yalalay yalay lalay la yalay lalay la yalay lalay la yalalay yalalay yalay lalay la yalalay yalalay yalay lalay la yalalay lalay yalay lalay the fourth line from the bottom of that page on 131, you'll find the words Ya'aloz Sadai, V'chol Asher Bo. That idea of the fields and everything in them will praise God, will shout with joy. It goes like this. Ya'aloz Sadai, V'chol Asher Bo. Ya'aloz Sadai. Ay, 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 ay. Let's try that. Ya'aloz Sadai, V'chol Asher Bo. Ya'aloz Sadai. Ay, ay, ay. Do it again. Ya'aloz Sadai, V'chol Asher Bo. Ya'aloz Sadai. Ay, ay, ay. Here's the second part. Az yeranenu kol atzei ya'ar. 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 That's the idea. Go from back to the top. Ya'aloz, ya'aloz sadai. V'chol asher bo ya'aloz sadai. Ay, 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 ya'aloz sadai. V'chol asher bo ya'aloz sadai. Ay, 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 az yeranenu kol atzei ya'ar. Az yeranenu kol atzei. One more time. Ya'aloz sadai, v'chol asher bo ya'aloz sadai. Ay, 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 ya'aloz sadai, v'chol asher bo ya'aloz sadai. Ay, 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 ay. Beautiful. I think you guys got it. We're going to continue now with the end of Psalm 98, which is on the top of page 134. Zamru ladonai bechinor. Singing praise with the lyre, melodious song, trumpets, a blast of the horn, whatever you got. Zameru ladonai bechinor. Bechinor v'kol zimra, zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, zameru, zamru l'Adonai, zameru, zamru l'Adonai. בכינור וכל זמרה, זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה. Turning to page 138 for Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ונצילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 2, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 3, מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לשבת בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5, כי התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We'll rise, turn to the entrance as we go to verse 9. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. All together, one more time. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We'll remain standing. We'll continue on page 263 with Chatzi Kaddish, and as we do, we invite our bat mitzvah, Ellie, not her mother, but Ellie, our bat mitzvah, to come on up and to lead the rest of our service.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ואל מר יברח חירותי ואמליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, Bagala, bagala, ubizman kari veimeru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach, le'alam ulal me'amaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitoma ve'yitnaseh ve'yitadar ve'yitale ve'yitala shmei dekodsha berichu le'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata tushbechata ve'nechemata damiran be'alma ve'imeru. Amen. Baruch Adonai Amborach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Continue on page 265.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim Bechokma Poteach She'arim Uvit Vuna Mashane Itim Umachalif Et Hazmanim Umasader Et HaKochavim Bemishmerotehem Berakia Kirtsono Bore Yom Velaila Golel Or Mipnei Choshech Vechoshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom uma'avi laila, uma'avdil bein yom uvein laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamidim lochaleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amchavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shochbeinu u'kumeinu Nasiach bechumkecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, leolam, leolam va'ed. Ki hem hayenu, ve'orech yameinu, u'vahem negeh yomam v'layla ve'achavatcha al tasir mimenu leolamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha Bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha vechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom malevavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam Veshivdecha bebeitecha uvlachtecha baderech ushochbecha uvkumecha ushartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafot beineinecha uvtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha Leman tiskeru vasita et kol mitzvotai Veitem kedoshim leloechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher otzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohim emet. We continue on page 270, singing together, Mi Chamocha.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה ליענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כיבד אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורס סוכת שלום, עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
In my house last night, the kids were trying to determine if it was going to be the next day a triple snow day. I said it was unlikely, but they had their fingers crossed. Unfortunately, of course, it did not happen, or fortunately for the parents, it did happen. But I was thinking a lot about snow days. Snow days are one of the greatest things, I think, for kids, but also for everyone. There is something about just when we have to say, okay, we're not going to go to school, we're not going to go to work, now we can Zoom from home, so it works okay. That we can't do the things that we normally do, we are just going to be together. Maybe we're going to watch silly movies, maybe we're going to have hot chocolate, maybe we're going to go sledding, maybe we're just going to play a board game, maybe we'll sit and read quietly. There is something about a snow day that actually, it's kind of like Shabbat. It is. And we get to do it every week. We don't have to wait for crazy weather. We have this opportunity just to stop and to be and to not have to worry about everything else around us. We just have to actually intend it to be. It doesn't just happen magically. We have to make the effort and we have to make that intention. So if we do, you too, all of us, we can have a snow day every week. So we're going to join together in this beautiful words of Vishamru about Shabbat on page 272.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. Yum ba da da da, Shabbat Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat Shabbat, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. Yum ba da da da, Shabbat, Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat, Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat, 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 Shalom.
Everyone to please rise for the Amidah, beginning on page 273.
Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha, ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim Ve'koneh HaKol Ve'zocher Hasdei Avot Ve'imahot Umevi Gula Livnei B'neichem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mehayei Metim Atah Rav Le'oshia Mavshiv HaRuach U'morid HaGashem Mehalkel Hayim Bechesed Mehayei Metim Berachamim Rabim Somech Novlim Verofeh Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem emunato lishenei afar Micha mocha be'al gevurot umidho melach Melech memit umechayem umatzmicha Yeshua v'nemanata lahayot metim Baruch atah Adonai Mehayei hametim.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Well done, Ellie. Yesher koach. We'll see you a little bit later. For now, we're going to turn in our siddur to page 279, Ritzeh.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu ve'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel u'tehi leratzon tamid avodat Yisrael Yisrael Amecha El Karov Lechol Korav Penei El Avadecha Bechoneinu Shefoch Ruchacha Aleinu V'techezena Eineinu בשובך לציון ברחמים ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו
Join together now in our regular blessing of Thanksgiving of Hoda'ah. It's on page 284 lines from the bottom. Ve'al nisecha.
ועל ניסך שבכל יום ערב ובוקר ערב ובוקר וצהריים מעולם מעולם קיווינו לך מעולם קיווינו לך הטוב כי לא חלו רחמך והמרחם כי לא תמו חסדיך מעולם מעולם קיווינו לך מעולם קיווינו לך.
For peace in our world and in Israel, we pray these words of Shalom Rav on page 282.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam.
Take a few moments now for a silent prayer.
יהיו לרצון ימי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי, וגואלי.
I invite you to turn to page 371. In the middle of that page, in a moment, we'll join together in these words of Misha Berach, a blessing for healing. We pray that those in our congregation and beyond who are in need of healing at this time might find strength of body and healing of body and soul. In particular, we think of Esther Brower, Raj Inder, Hamish Cameron, Nevo Degani, Max Konybauer, Shannon Wall, Ginny Bloom, Reuven Pinchas Ben Zara, Yosef Ben Michael Miriam, Howard Eckersley, Marilyn Perrin, Adele, Jason Stanley Fox, Virginia Edwards, Nini Rostaker Shipman, Meir Leb Ben Yosef, Yeshayahu, Natalie Wormelli, Meir Tzvi, Meir Zalman Ben Rachel, Daniel Gottesman, Bill Shaw, Claire Columbia, Carla Zivit, Janet Gelb, David Shlomo Gorny, Andrea Yarzbiak, and Itamar Ben Root. There are other people you're thinking of you wish to include their names. If you would stand and share them aloud at this time.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. Eli Mazel Tov again. We look forward to tomorrow and all the celebrations to come. I don't know if you saw it yet, but you may at the Oneg. Eli's got some very cool kicks on, some new shoes. And they may not be that white ever again, so you should take a look at them now. Just want to share a few announcements with you before some words of Torah. So the announcements are in the handout. If you got it as you came in, you can read along. A reminder that every Sunday at 2 o'clock at the Vancouver Art Gallery, we gather as a Jewish community and with our allies and supporters in support of Israel, calling to free the hostages, to end anti-Semitism, and for Israel's right to exist peacefully alongside its neighbors. That's at 2 o'clock at the Art Gallery. Hope that you will come out and support our community. Eastside Jews has a clean up the park for Tu B'Shvat. There might be some snow involved in that. Might be a nature walk in the snow. And that's on Sunday at 3 o'clock at Slocan Community Hall. Cantor Cohen has a concert. You want to tell us about your concert, Cantor Cohen? You want me to turn on your microphone?
Sure. Well, I'll also mention that if anyone is interested, there's a queer Torah study group gathering for Tu B'Shvat as well here on Sunday. You can ask me for more information about that. But in 1 week, next Saturday, the 27th, we're having a Havdalah concert. So it's Shabbat Shirah, which means we sing the Song of the Sea, the Exodus story, and we're going to celebrate that musically with a night of music and fun, and there will be lots of snacks and drinks. So register online. Please come. It'll be fun.
Thank you, Cantor Cohen. Our BBYO Junior, our junior youth group for grades 4 through 7, is going to the movies on Sunday the 28th at 3 o'clock. Our 20s and 30s group is going axe throwing on Saturday, February 3rd at 6. And there's a whole bunch more going on later in the month of February. Tomorrow night here at the synagogue at 6 o'clock is BBYO is having, our youth group is having a dinner. And at 8 o'clock is a play put on by Richard Lowy, Kalman and Leopold, the story of his father, who was one of Mengele's subjects in the Shoah. It's an incredible presentation for Holocaust remembrance, and it's free. It's at 8 o'clock here at the synagogue. Doors open at 7:30. This week's Torah portion, which Ellie is going to talk about tomorrow in great detail, is Parshat Bo. And it contains a fascinating moment in the unfolding story of the plagues that should make us stop and take notice. 7 plagues have now struck Egypt. The people are suffering. Several times, Pharaoh seems to soften, only then to harden his own heart. And then later God hardens his heart, but that's a detail. During the 7th plague, hail, he even seems to admit his mistake. The Torah says, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron. "This time I have sinned," he said to them. "The Eternal is in the right, the Lord is in the right, and I and my people are in the wrong." But as soon as the plague is over, he changes his mind, Pharaoh does. He and his officials, says the Torah, hardened their hearts. And now Moses and Aaron have come to warn of further plagues, potentially devastating. A plague of locusts that they say will devour all of the grain left after the hail, as well as all the fruit of the trees. And for the first time, we hear something that we have not heard before. Pharaoh's own advisors tell him he is making a mistake. Pharaoh's officials say to him, according to Torah, "How long will this man be a snare to us? Let the people go, so that they may worship the Lord their God. Do you not yet realize that Egypt is ruined?" It's a powerful moment. It should be a tipping point. Pharaoh's advisors, who to this point have been willing participants in his folly and egomaniacal rule, are now speaking truth to power, potentially at great personal risk as they openly challenge Pharaoh's grasp of what is happening all around them. These words should immediately transform the situation, but they don't. And Pharaoh's ego, his hubris, his narcissism blind him to the sound advice of those that have the greater interest of the nation and not the Pharaoh as their chief concern. Further, though the text doesn't record it, our own experience in watching similar authoritarian rulers confirms that those drunk on power are often surrounded by sycophants and enablers that are attracted to the powerful like flowers turned towards the sun. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, in his commentary on this parsha, which serves as the basis for this drash, makes a connection with historian Barbara Tuchman's famous book, The March of Folly. For those who have not read the Pulitzer Prize-winning book, The March of Folly, it chronicles a comprehensive array of examples of leaders who make bad choices in pursuing foolish goals. From Montezuma's senseless surrender of his empire in 1520 to Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor. In her book, Tuchman defines folly as the pursuit by government of policies contrary to their own self-interest, despite the availability of feasible alternatives. The core thesis of the book asks the great question, how is it that throughout history, intelligent people have made foolish decisions that were damaging both to their own position and to that of the people that they have led? By this, she doesn't mean decisions that in retrospect prove to be the wrong ones. Anyone can make that kind of mistake. That's the nature of leadership and of life itself, of course, but we are called on to make decisions under conditions of uncertainty. With the wisdom of hindsight, we can see where we went wrong because of the factors that we didn't know about at the time. But what Tuchman is talking about were decisions that the people could see at the time. They could see that they were the wrong ones. There were warnings, and they were ignored. For Tuckman, folly begins with the most fundamental of things, an outsized and self-destructive will to power. Both the governors and the governed can overreach. They can be convinced of their own correctness, their own righteousness. Chief among them, the forces affecting political folly is the lust for power, named by Tacitus as the most flagrant of all passions. Tuckman wrote in her book, because it can only be satisfied by power over others, government is its favorite field of exercise, or what she calls the paramount area of folly, because it is there that men seek power over others, only to lose it over themselves. In this light, today's political headlines and drama, and I will leave it to you to geolocate which political drama my commentary on our Parsha illuminates and informs. I am committed to not giving a sermon specifically about a topic, but it's unavoidable. We've been trying this. In this light, the power politics of today are not something new under the sun, but another chapter in the oldest of human dramas. The tension between appetite and the common good, between ambition and common sense. One example she gives, and that Rabbi Sachs connects to this parsha, is that of the wooden horse of the story of Troy. The Greeks had laid siege to Troy unsuccessfully for 10 years, and eventually they appear to give up and sail away, leaving behind this giant wooden horse. The Trojans enthusiastically haul it inside the city as a symbol of their victory, and as we know, inside the horse were 30 Greek soldiers who that night came out of hiding and opened up the city gates for the Greek army that had sailed back under the cover of darkness. It was a brilliant ploy, though probably never to be used again. But the Trojan priest had guessed that it was a plot and warned his people. In the famous words, "I fear the Greeks even when they come bearing gifts." That's where that phrase comes from. And his warning was ignored, and Troy fell. They knew it was going to happen, or at least they had been advised. And yet, they ignored the advice. Rabbi Sachs urges us to read the story of Pharaoh and his advisors from this week's Parsha in that same Troy context. He sees it as one of the first recorded instances of the march of folly. But how does this happen? One lens is to look at Pharaoh not as an evil man, but as a deeply conservative one, charged with maintaining what was already the longest-lived empire of the ancient world and not allowing it, as it were, to be undermined by change. Let slaves go free, and who knows what will happen next, Pharaoh might have thought. Royal authority will seem to have been defeated. A fracture would appear in the political structure. The seemingly unshakable edifice of power will be seen to have been shaken, and that, for those who fear change, is the beginning of the end. Under those circumstances, it's possible to see why Pharaoh would refuse to listen to his advisors that counseled change or suggested dialogue. They are weak, they're defeatists. Giving in to pressure and any sign of weakness in leadership only leads to more pressure and more capitulation. Again, connect it with your own headlines. Better be strong and continue to say no and simply endure one more plague. We can see Pharaoh both as wicked and also as foolish because we've read the book. Some of his advisors who are experiencing all of this in real time can clearly see that he is leading his people to disaster. But he may well have felt that he was being strong while they were merely being fearful or weak. Leadership is only easy and its errors only clearly visible in retrospect. Yet Pharaoh remains an enduring symbol of a failure to listen to his own advisors, and a failure to surround himself with a difference of opinion to get to hear what he needs to hear, not just what he already knows. One of the plagues of Egypt that Pharaoh endures is hoshech, darkness. His blindness was literal and psychological. Pharaoh could not see that the world had changed, that he was facing something new, that his enslavement of a people was no longer tolerable, practical, or possible. that the old magic no longer worked, that the empire over which he was presiding was growing old, and that the more obstinate he became, the closer he was bringing his people to tragedy, his empire to ruin. Knowing how to listen to advice, how to respond to change, and when to admit that you've got it wrong, they remain three of the most difficult tasks of not only being a leader, but of being a human being. Knowing how to listen to advice, knowing how to respond to change, knowing when to admit that you've got it wrong, rejecting advice, refusing to change, refusing to admit that you're wrong may look like strength to some, but usually they are the beginning of yet another march of folly. It seems to me there is a great deal of folly in our world today, particularly amongst political leadership around the globe. Perhaps so much that it appears to some that we are in fact marching off of a cliff. Our Parsha counsels that we can change course, that we can learn the lessons of history. Tuckman writes, "History, like humanity, defies clinical categorization. There are two ways in which came before us can teach us lessons. One is to enable us to avoid the past mistakes and to manage better in similar circumstances next time. And the other is to enable us to anticipate a future course of events." Tuckman wrote her verdict. To manage better next time is within our means. To anticipate does not seem to be beyond our comprehension. That, at least, may be the beginning of wisdom and the end of folly. Shabbat Shalom. Our service continues. Page 586 will rise for Eleni. Thanks. Didn't say the word.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו, אין עוד אמת מלכנו, אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בהשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. It's become our minhag, our custom in our congregation, to offer an opportunity to families who come to the end of Shloshim, the end of 30 days of mourning, to share an askara, to share a brief 3-minute or so lesson of the life of the loved one for whom they have been saying Kaddish this past month. And so I want to invite Pamela and Sophia Wojtschaft to come forward and to speak about their father and grandfather, Juan, who died on December 22nd. Actually, yeah, right here is good.
What comes beyond unconditional love? When I think about unconditional love, in my mind, I picture my father. But right inside my heart, I know unconditional love doesn't reflect the amount and shape of love he shared with me and with his granddaughter, Sophia. I was born after 12 years of marriage. I was his favorite miracle. Since the day when I was born, my dad kept track of every aspect of myself. Throughout his life, my father was a caring, devoted husband, father, and grandfather. He supported every decision I made and every dream I had. He celebrated every one of my achievements. He was proud of my tenacity. He read my work and often challenged me with philosophical and political questions. It was not until my daughter Sophia was born that I discovered the amount of love he could carry inside. Countless hours of playing together, countless words of admiration to every one of her actions. My father taught me by example. He lived an honest and loving life. He was never big on saying, "I love you." But boy, how good he was at making us feel loved, accepted, supported, and admired. He was wise, cultured, gentle, generous, and a loving man. I love him with all myself. Lately, I'm finding it difficult to believe he's not with us, but I know what he wanted the most was for us to keep going, growing, living, always knowing he is loving us in the same way we love him, forever, limitless, and beyond conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. May your father's memory always be for a blessing. On this Shabbat, we recall those who died during this past week or these past 30 days, whose families are in the midst of Shiva and Shloshim. As I read the name of your loved one, if you could rise here or at home so we might comfort you in our midst. Hartley Chiswick, Ethel Chochnov, Ruth Grigg, Carol Marks, George Overlander, Ed Ozer, whose funeral is this coming Sunday, Leonard Polsky, Juan Alberto Wartschaft Revachon, Rosemary Spendlove, Neil Tapley. Pamela, if you want to answer. And those for whom the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the death of your loved one, is on this Shabbat, if you too could rise here or at home so we can comfort you in our midst. Cecia Achenwald, Martin Burney, Max Baton, Eva Bregman, Pearl Chalmers, Russell Chiachi, Grace Coheen, Rhoda Daum Kenner, Eva Durpak, Min Fairman, Jacob Flitt, Sharon Friedman, Julie Friedman, Mark Friedman, Bill Gluck, Richard Goldberg, Edwina Heller, Michael Heller, Kitty Heller, Maury Huberman, Stanley Hullman, Morris Jaffe, Israel Kaplan, Alice Kimmel, Rhonda Lazar, Ann Levi Lloyd, Jack Levine, Hugh McKinnon, Elizabeth Martin, Alfred Mayer, Morris Miller, Agnes Myers, Sonia Niddickman, Neil Ornstein, Lola Penn, Rosemary Pohl, Belia Rutlinger, Ann Rubenstein, Sam Samuels, Norman Sanders, Harvey Sawyer, Marion Sadek, Johannes Schipper, Jack Shapiro, Eliakim Getzel Sudak, Harold Vines, Claire Wexler, Merv Clifford Weinstock. If there's names that I have missed or mispronounced, if you've come to say Kaddish for any other reason, if you could rise and call those names out one by one as well. Chloe? We look around the congregation, we see those that have stood in mourning. We don't want them to stand alone. And still we'll stand now by their side, providing the comfort of our presence. I invite all those who wish to join the mourners on page 598 in Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'yoma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'hayei l'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'maru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yit adar v'yit aleh v'yit alal shemei kudisha b'richu. Le'elam in kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Damin ron be'alma v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. Osei shalom imramav. Huya asei shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael. V'kol yoshvei tevel v'yimaru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn. Comfort the bereaved among us, and we say together, Amen. Remain standing for just a moment longer as we invite Ellie to come and lead us in Kiddush and Motzi right down here with the cantor. We want to thank Abby and Daniel for sponsoring our oneg following our service. I've sampled it. It's kosher. You're all good.
ויחלו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצבנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה רצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תהילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה ורצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
L'chaim.
Aye. And we'll join together in Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Okay, we'll conclude with Adon Olam on page 625. Adon Olam,
Adon olam.
Asher Malach,
Hashem Allah.
B'terem kol,
B'terem kol.
Yetir Nivra, Leit Nasa, V'cherzo kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol, Levado Imloch Nora Adon Olam, Ve'hu Haya, Ve'hu Hove, Ve'hu Yevadim Fara Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon olam.
Asher Malach,
Hashem Allah.
B'terem kol,
B'terem kol.
Yetzir Nivra, Leit Nasa, V'cherzo kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.